Part 47. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 461. Zhihixia, near the 120th island. 4 high-level warships are sailing in the sea, with a total of about 1,000 people. These people are none other than the believers of the Fire Dragon. Now that the Fire Dragon is dead, they received the news immediately, and immediately showed extremely complicated expressions on their faces. There was shock, fear, and even a hint of joy. The Fire Dragon is their preacher, and the death of the Fire Dragon does not affect their status as believers. They are still believers of the god of Fire Oz, but without a preacher, they do not need to pay fire energy to their superior preacher. Slowly accumulate fire energy, and sooner or later you will be promoted to a preacher. That beast Huolong died in battle? Haha, God is merciful. Damn it, after so many of us became his followers, he assigned us daily tasks to absorb fire energy, making it impossible for us to get ahead. Now that he's dead, we can develop freely. 5 years ago, I followed Huolong. 5 years, and I'm still just an ordinary believer. The believers, their boss Huolong died. Not only did they not feel aggrieved or hateful, but they laughed happily instead. Huolong was not popular at all, and it was conceivable how much resentment the believers had for him. Let's go, brothers, let's go back. Huolong is dead, so what? We are so happy, how can we avenge him? Well, let's go back, let's have a banquet, have a farewell dinner, and develop separately from now on. Haha, good, we will never be bullied by that beast Huolong again. After a brief discussion, all the believers smiled and began to prepare to return the same way. But just as they turned the fleet around, they found that there was also a fleet behind them, rushing towards them. Woo woo. The horn sounded, and they didn't know whether it was the opposite side, but there were also fleets on the left and right side surrounding them. It's bad. It's Long Long San, and others. 5 fleets, a total of nearly 20 high-level warships surrounded them, and the believers were sweating all over their faces, and they had an ominous premonition in their hearts. Not long after, the 5 warships approached, and the 5 leaders actually flew up directly, looking down at them coldly and said, "Why, do you want to escape?" These 5 people all have red hair, and their appearance is 70% similar to Fire Dragon. That's right, the 5 of them are Fire Dragon's twin brothers. Fire Dragon is the boss, and the following are arranged in order: Long Long San, Long Lu. There is no doubt that they are all strong men in the Holy Land. Long Long San, Long Si, Long Wu are also high-level preachers of ounce, and Long Lu is only a mid-level preacher. These people are all Fire Dragon's brothers, so Fire Dragon will not mistreat or oppress them. Fire Dragon's own 1,000 followers will be suppressed and will not be allowed to be promoted to preachers. Bastard. My brother, your boss died in battle, why don't you avenge him? And you still want to return? Lao Lu is the youngest, the weakest among the brothers, but has the worst temper, and he roared immediately. Then he instantly sent out a burst of fire, beating Fire Dragon's followers and making them scream. No matter how weak Long Lu is, he is still a strong man in the holy domain, and although the followers are all above level 80, few of them are in the holy domain. I'll give you 2 choices. One is death. The other is to come with us and avenge my brother. Long had a cold face. He was the calmest among the brothers. He said, "Of course, my brother has already sacrificed himself. I won't make it difficult for you. After this revenge operation, you will be free again." "Thank you, my lords. We know we were wrong. We will avenge Lord Huolong." People have to bow their heads under the eaves. The believers can only submit with frustration. At the same time, they also secretly breathe a sigh of relief. After this operation, they will be free again. That's enough. Revenge is simple. They have 6 fleets with a total of 5,500 people. And all of them are masters above level 80. Among them, there are more than Long Er, Long Lu, and others in the Holy Domain. At least 10 of them. Such a terrifying force, what can't be crushed? It's just revenge, how difficult can it be? Humph, no matter who it is, I will make him pay with blood to pay for his crime, in order to honor my brother's spirit in heaven. Long Lu roared loudly, his eyes full of murderous aura, and the fleet set off, rushing towards Island 151. On the other side, Ye Chen finally killed the fire dragon and began to clean up the spoils. Heh, another holy lattice. Ye Chen picked up the holy lattice, with a look of joy in his eyes. Killing holy domains and holy beasts only has a chance to explode holy lattice, and the probability is not high. Now Ye Chen killed a few holy domains and exploded a few holy lattice. This person's luck is a bit against the sky. In addition to the holy lattice, the fire dragon only exploded one piece of equipment, which was the flaming sword. Holy sword of fire element, holy weapon. Level 85. Attack power, 3550 3980. Strength add 2100. Physical strength add 1500. Intelligence add 2600. Spirit add 2500. Agility add 1000. Fire strength add 300. Fire resistance add 1000. Special effect, when attacking with a normal attack, it will spray a large area of flames. When attacking with a skill, it has a 20% chance of triggering a flame explosion. It is indeed very strong. More importantly, strong attacks are ineffective against it. Ye Chen was shocked. This holy sword must be controlled by his own people and cannot fall into the hands of the enemy. The great sword is a weapon exclusively for magic swordsmen. There is no particularly outstanding magic swordsman in the entire Throne Guild. Ye Chen collected it himself. In the big group, some magic swordsmen suddenly showed anxious eyes, but it was useless for them to be anxious. This holy weapon was a level 85 equipment. Even if they were given it, they could not take it. In addition to the holy frame and the holy sword of fire element, the fire dragon only exploded some coins, nothing else. Ye Chen swept them all at once. Ye Chen, just before the fire dragon died, he called the second and third brothers. What does this mean? Does he have reinforcements? Huo Wu reminded. Hearing this, everyone suddenly became a little nervous. Zaohyam, the reinforcements of the strong men in the holy domain must not be too bad. If there are more, it will be a terrifying combat power. Who could it be? Could it be his followers? Lan made the first guess. Impossible. Ye Chen shook his head and smiled. Others didn't know about Fire Dragon, but he knew it very well. How could a beast like Fire Dragon be so good to his followers? If he died, all his followers would be so happy, how could they come to seek revenge? Besides, the second and third brothers were more intimate names. With Fire Dragon's temperament, it was impossible for him to be so enthusiastic to his followers. Who cares? We can stop the enemy and cover the water. Even if there are more saint domains, we are not afraid. We can just explode a few more saint statue. Tank was optimistic. However, he didn't know that this time, there were more than 10 saint domain masters. QBQ 520. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 462. You can't guess anything with baseless guesses. What's more, Ye Chen has no fear at all, so let's put aside this idea and continue to organize a large group to spawn monsters. Until half an hour later, Ye Chen's eyes suddenly froze. The detection device spreads within 1,000 yards and lasts for 24 hours. At this moment, more than 20 ships appeared in his sea of consciousness. He could vaguely see that the people on the ship were all unfamiliar faces, which surprised him. 20 high-end ships, ranging from tens of millions of people to tens of thousands of people. The Fire Dragon's reinforcements are so terrifying. Everyone put down what they are doing, teleport over immediately, and prepare for war. Ye Chen issued the order on the guild channel, and within a minute, almost all the 23,000 people in the throne room arrived. Everyone looked at the so-called battlefield and saw only savages. They couldn't help but look at each other. "Boss, what happened?" everyone asked in confusion. They didn't have a detection device and didn't know the situation at hand. Even Huo Wu, Tank, and others looked at Ye Chen in confusion. It was extremely rare for Ye Chen to show such nervousness. Especially Huo Wu, she felt the most. She and the other main players were worried to death because of Ye Chen's various super famous names, but Ye Chen seemed to be fine. In that situation, Ye Chen wasn't nervous at all, but now that he's nervous, it means the situation is even more complicated. "Fire Dragon reinforcements?" Huo Wu asked. Ye Chen nodded lightly and turned to look at Mao Mao. "Mao Mao, quickly upgrade the drawings of the mechanical madman and mass-produce the mechanical maniac as much as possible and distribute them to everyone." Hiss. Hearing this, everyone in the main group was completely shocked. Each mechanical madman cost 1,000 yuan. Now it is distributed to guild members in batches. You can imagine how terrifying the Fire Dragon military aid is. Ye Chen and everyone at the throne stood ready, and after 5 minutes, raging battle roars rang out from the front. Immediately afterwards, thousands of people rushed over, including more than 10 people flying in the sky. 1, 2, 3, 6, 8, 12. Hiss, a total of 12 strong saints. Not only that, almost all of those thousands of people are NPC troops above level 80. Hey, it's so lively now. They saw 12 strong men from the Holy Domain rushing in with thousands of troops, and everyone suddenly felt great pressure. Ye Chen's eyes were also slightly focused. 12 saints, this was something he didn't expect. I saw the 12 saints flying in order, with only 5 people at the front. As for those 5 people, Ye Chen was surprised to find that they were all similar to the Fire Dragon. Huh, twin brothers, it's true. I'm just saying, how can anyone be willing to help a beast like Fire Dragon? Ye Chen sneered in his heart. Now the situation is very clear. Since those 5 people are all Fire Dragon brothers, they are probably also the preachers of ounce, and everyone else, including the other 7 saints, are just believers. Tank, Huo Wu, and others also saw this, and were immediately shocked. A strong man from the Holy Realm is only willing to be a believer. You know, in the later stages of Dream World development, whether it is players or NPCs, there are as many people as level 80 and above. But level 80 Sanctuary is another matter. Sanctuary, no matter when it comes, will be considered a top force. After all, gods, beasts, and even god-level players are relatively rare. As for the strong men in the Holy Realm, as long as they are willing, they can go to the Alliance and get the rank of Major General, or even Lieutenant General, which is not a big problem. It is not difficult to become a preacher, so why do you need to succumb to others and be a small believer? Tank, Huo Wu, and others were particularly puzzled by this point. However, Ye Chen knew that there were 3 types of evangelists. They are also preachers, preachers of lower gods, preachers of middle gods, and even preachers of upper gods. The gap between these 3 is huge. Advanced evangelists of higher gods, such as the evangelists of Fire God Oz, have add 1,000 points of fire power, add 3,000 points of fire resistance, and are also given rare skills. As for the senior evangelist of the middle god of the fire system, the fire power can be increased by up to 500 points, the fire resistance can be increased by 1,500 points, and it is impossible to give away skills at all. As for the high-level evangelist of the lower god of the fire system, the fire power may only increase by 300 points. Those who understand this gap will know, It is very big. A few hundred points of attribute enhancement is equivalent to several times the damage. Those 7 saintly believers are obviously ambitious. They either don't want to believe, or if they want to believe, they must believe in a higher God. It doesn't matter if you are a believer now. If you tolerate it, you will become a low-level preacher sooner or later. And once you become a preacher, even a low-level one, you can get rid of your superior preacher and believe in God's. In this way, becoming a senior evangelist is just around the corner. All evangelists are equal. There is no situation where high-level evangelists suppress lower-level evangelists. Of course, using force to suppress them is another matter. For example, when Yechen was promoted to be a preacher, the fire dragon still collected fire energy from him. At that time, Yechen was still very weak and had to endure it, and he was arrogant. On the other side, Long Er, Long Lu, and others were also observing with cold eyes. Humph, they are a bunch of rubbish. They don't even have a sanctuary. Big Brother died unjustly. Long Lu glanced around the 23,000 people in the throne room. He was stunned not to see a sanctuary, and he immediately cursed unwillingly. Long Er glanced at him and said coldly, "Sixth brother, don't underestimate the enemy. The boss contacted me before and said that there was a man named Night God who had the skill to destroy equipment. Because of this, the boss died in grief. I don't want you to follow in the footsteps of the boss. Destroying equipment, how terrifying. If there are no weapons and equipment, Zaishian.m even a strong man in the holy domain will be killed alive. And Lao Lu, it's not like there's no holy domain. Did you see that little sparrow? Such pure flame energy is obviously a holy beast. Long San is a berserker with a strong fire ability. He carried the giant sword on his shoulder and snorted, "It's almost impossible for a holy beast to be so weak. Unless, if you have the blood of a divine beast, you have the talent of growing bigger or smaller." Haha, boss, if he didn't want to monopolize the holy beast of the fire system with the blood of the divine beast, he would have called us earlier, and how could he have fallen? Hearing this, the brothers immediately locked their eyes on the little sparrow on Yechen's shoulder. The greedy flames in their eyes could not be suppressed. "Lao San," Long Er shouted coldly. As a younger brother, how could he say that about his brother? What's more, his brother is already dead. But although he was a little confused about Long San's words, his eyes looking at Xiao Hong were also greedy. QBQ 520. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Strongest Assassin in the Server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 463. Not only Long Er, Long San, and others, but also the other 7 believers of the Holy Land, looked at Xiao Hong on Yechen's shoulder with excitement and greed in their eyes. They are just believers after all, subject to Long Er and others, and need to hand in a large amount of fire energy every day. Because of this, it is difficult for them to be promoted to preachers. And Xiao Hong is a sacred fire beast with the blood of a divine beast, and its flame energy is extremely pure. I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. If they kill Xiao Hong, they will get a huge amount of fire energy and rush to the preacher in one step. Completely get rid of the control of Long Er and others, and no longer look at their faces. For them, this is a rare opportunity. If Long Er and others still need to take revenge, slaughter Yechen and the throne, and then kill Xiao Hong to seize the fire energy. They completely locked their sights on Xiao Hong. It didn't matter whether they wanted revenge or not, because it wasn't their big brother who died. Everything was based on their own interests. The ordinary believers above level 80 had the same thoughts as the believers in the Holy Land. However, their strength was far behind that of the believers in the Holy Land, and they were afraid that they would not be able to rob him. "Little ones, kill them hard and avenge my big brother. Soon, the two armies were close, and Long Lu gave an order, and a group of believers rushed out. In Dream World, NPCs are natives, and players are outsiders. Of course, some NPCs are willing to call players heroes. NPCs are more or less intelligent, at least smarter than monsters, especially some intelligent NPCs, which are completely anthropomorphic and no worse than ordinary players in terms of intelligence. As outsiders, players have been lowering Dream World for a while, and NPCs can't help but find that these guys can't really die. Hanging up once only drops one level. But even so, Long Er, Long San, Long Lu and others thought that killing Ye Chen and the members of the throne back to level 0 would be revenge for their big brother Huo Long. Meteor Shower. The believers took the lead in launching the attack. They were all above level 80 and had level 80 ultimate skills. Moreover, among these believers, fire magic accounted for more than half. For a time, meteorites fell from the sky densely, and the throne side immediately cried out in pain. In just one round, more than half of them died. Level 80, even if they are not strong in the holy domain, is a threshold. What's more, thousands of level 80 NPCs. The combat power is off the charts. Hiss. Ye Chen couldn't help but gasp. This kind of casualties is really horrible. You know, NPCs are uniquely gifted. Maybe because they only have one life, their HP is as terrifying as monsters. Take the level 80 holy domain for example. The HP of the NPC holy domain is billions at any time, and sometimes it exceeds 10 billion. And for the player holy domain, 100,000 is good. This is true for the Holy Land, and it is also true for ordinary NPCs. These level 80 believers are at least elites, with HP of at least 200,000 or more. For some leaders, HP easily exceeds 1 million. Because of this, even if Ye Chen used the iron cannon, it would be useless. In fact, the iron cannon began to proliferate after the mainstream player group reached level 70. In other words, although the iron cannon did not have a clear level mark, the official vaguely classified it as a level 70 consumable. And the level 70 consumables are obviously not enough to deal with level 80 beings, especially NPCs or monsters, even if the magic crystal bomb is used. With this thought, Ye Chen immediately spread his wings and flew out. With his damage, it was still easy to kill 80 believers, but Long Er and others seemed to know what he was thinking. In an instant, a full 12 holy lands blocked him. This time, there were too many strong men in the Holy Land, and Lu Mang was also confused. Although he is a mute mage, he can't mute them all. Ye Chen is also afraid. He doesn't care about 1 or 2, but when the number reaches 12, even if he can kill a few, he doesn't know how many times he has died. Suddenly, a flash of inspiration flashed through Ye Chen's mind, and he suddenly understood and said with a smile, Long Er, Long San, you should be brothers of Fire Dragon. As for the other 7, you don't need to participate in this matter, right? Hey, you are a powerful saint, but it's just the believers who are frustrated. I believe you must have been oppressed by Long Er and others. That's why you can't be promoted to preacher. Ye Chen smiled and said, let me tell you, I am also a preacher of the great god Oz, and a senior preacher. I still have 500 believers available. If you are willing, you can become my believers. Don't worry, I won't hinder your future. Hearing this, the saints were stunned. Long Er, Long San, and other brothers were furious. Damn, this Ye Chen actually poached people blatantly. The eyes of the other 7 saints lit up. Yes, I am a saint, how can I be a believer forever? If it weren't for the oppression of Long Er and others, and the huge amount of fire energy paid for daily tasks, I would have been promoted to a preacher and flew solo. Can we trust you? A saint thief asked coldly. Obviously, he was already tempted. Slaughtering the fire phoenix will definitely absorb a huge amount of fire energy, and maybe it will be promoted to a low-level preacher in one step. But there is only one fire phoenix, but they have 7 people. More importantly, the fire phoenix is a pet, and Yechen can easily put it into the pet space. Believe? Humph. We preachers should spread the faith of the great God Us to the greatest extent. Only the fire dragon brothers are narrow-minded and hinder people's future, Yechen said righteously. Half of it was just to meet the situation, and now he had to say it. And the other half was also his cognition and reason. One day, he, Yechen, will also reach the divine realm, and the power of the gods depends on the number of believers. The more believers there are, the stronger the power of faith of the god Zhaozhan.com. When that time comes, if his preachers are like the fire dragon brothers, hindering people's future and not letting his power of faith spread, then he will definitely be unhappy. Hearing this, the 7 Saint Domain strongmen also nodded secretly. This is the truth. It is the most hateful to block people's wealth and development. The fire dragon brothers are scum. How dare you? Yechen, you actually fan the flames in front of us, I won't let you off. The usually calm Long Er also became furious. He was a fire mage, and he directly blasted a burst of fire towards Yechen. However, the black shadow moved, and the holy domain thief appeared in front of Yechen like lightning, and with a sharp dagger, he directly cut the huge fireball in half. Yuming, what do you mean? Do you really dare to rebel? Long Er was immediately furious. As soon as the voice fell, the other 6 holy domain masters also bypassed them and flew to stand beside Yuming. QBQ 520. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 464. Seeing Yuming and others flying towards the opposite side, the fire dragon brothers were so angry that they spurted blood. You really want to rebel? Long San's eyes flashed fiercely and he shouted coldly, you know, you are just believers, and we are all high-level evangelists. The difference is 1000 points of firepower and 10 times the attack power. As I write this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. Lao Lu is an intermediate preacher, and he has 500 more fire points than you. You alone are no match for me. I advise you not to make mistakes. Although Long San was wild, what he said made sense. They are both in the holy domain, and the fire dragon brothers are much more powerful than Netherworld and others. The difference in attack power is 5 times or 10 times. Can this be the same? Hearing this, some of the 7 Saint Realm powerhouses including Yuming suddenly had their eyes twinkling. For them, they really want to become the evangelists of Oz, and then get rid of the fire dragon brothers and go solo, but life is more important than this. They are well aware of the strength of the fire dragon brothers. Seeing this, Yechen hurriedly sent an invitation to believers to Yuming and others. In Dream World, whether you are a player or an NPC, once you become a believer in a god, it is like being branded and you can never change it. Unless the god, or his superior preacher, takes the initiative to erase his identity as a believer. In other words, believers are not qualified to change their beliefs. However, he has the qualifications to replace his superior evangelist. Yechen happened to be Oz's evangelist, so he could send out the invitation. To put it bluntly, it was poaching. Don't worry, everyone, after you become my followers, I will not issue you with daily tasks of paying fire energy. In other words, you can be promoted to evangelists at any time and fly solo, Yechen said cautiously. It won't take a moment. System, Netherworld accepted your invitation and became a follower of Fire God Oz. System, Mengqing accepted your invitation and became a follower of Fire God Oz. System, Chen Yang accepted your invitation and became a follower of Oz, the god of fire. A series of system prompts came, and Yechen let out a sigh of relief. It is of course the best to be able to instigate rebellion, because that is equivalent to having 7 more powerful saints to help. Even if they can't instigate rebellion, Yu Ming and others can now be considered free and can fly solo. In this case, at least they will not be threatened by the Fire Dragon brothers and help them do evil. Isn't this enough? Even if you can't get the help of the 7 powerful saints, you will at least reduce the number of enemies of the 7 powerful saints. Everyone, Brother Fire Dragon and I are fighting to the death, but I won't embarrass you. Now, you can leave, Yuchen said to Yu Ming and others. Brother Yashin is indeed loyal. Immediately, a black-faced Saint Realm powerhouse jumped out, raised his hands and said, "Everyone, just say goodbye." After he finished speaking, he turned into a stream of light and disappeared. However, Yu Ming and the other 6 people did not leave. Yu Ming said cautiously, "Brother, you are righteous, and I don't want to owe you any favors. I will fight with you in this battle. And me? Count me in." The sanctuary believers roared one after another, breathing a sigh of relief. Since they are strong men in the sanctuary, they will be more or less courageous. On the one hand, they wanted to repay Yuchen's favor, but on the other hand, they actually wanted to make Yuchen a friend. What is the power of the Fire Dragon? They knew it very well, but Yuchen killed the Fire Dragon, and Yuchen was not a strong man in the Holy Realm. This kind of potential was really unbelievable. Haha, good. Yuchen was overjoyed. This situation had exceeded his own expectations. From now on, he only needs to deal with these 5 people, Long Er, Long 3, Long 4, Long 5, and Long 6. Not only did the pressure drop drastically, but he also received help from Yu Ming and 6 other people. You are fine. This is your own choice. Don't blame our brothers for being ruthless. Netherworld and others are just ordinary sanctuaries. They are not a big threat to the Fire Dragon brothers, but no one else would be happy if they were so easily instigated by the enemy. Long Er was so angry that he trembled all over and shouted, "3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th, let's go. Guys, let's come too." Yu Ming and the others burst out with passionate battle roars and rushed out. For a moment, 11 sanctuaries fought in a dazzling way in the sky. Various large-scale killing moves, crazy explosions, causing shockwaves all over the sky. The Fire Dragon brothers are high-level evangelists after all. The firepower of 1000 points is no joke. Their attacks can easily hit hundreds of thousands of enemies. On the other hand, Yu Ming and others could only deal tens of thousands of damage. The gap between the two sides is not just a tiny bit. Sea of Fire. Long Er is a sacred fire method that directly ignites the sea of fire in the air. This sea of fire was about 10 yards high, making everyone in the sky trapped in the sea of fire. The scope was too large and they could not fly out. Long Er's fire damage was obviously extremely high. For a moment, Yu Ming and the others started to complain. Yuchen then locked his eyes on Long Er. Obviously, Long Er was the greatest threat now, so Yuchen would deal with him first. Having already opened his BFF, Yuchen flew towards Long Er like a whirlwind. Long Er knew that Yuchen had the skills to destroy equipment and did not dare to fight head-on. However, he turned around and ran away for a second, but was surprised to find that Yuchen was faster than him. Impossible, level 72, how can it be faster than the sanctuary? Long Er's mouth twitched, and he became more and more afraid of Yuchen. He originally thought that his elder brother Huo Long underestimated the enemy, and his equipment was destroyed by Yuchen again and again, and finally he was besieged and killed by Yuchen and the throne. But now, he found that Yuchen himself was a terrifying little monster. Fire Element Shield. Flame Armor. Dochi. Long Er opened 3 BFFs in a row, and his Fire Element Shield level was extremely high, so that his whole body was surrounded by flames. The outer layer, more Dochi. If you can't break my defense, let's see how you can destroy the equipment. Long Er sneered in his heart. He received the news from Huo long before his death, and learned that Ye Chen had the skill to destroy equipment. Although he had not seen this skill with his own eyes, he could guess that the skill needed to hit the equipment to form a destructive force. But his fire element shield level was very high. If Ye Chen could not break the shield, it would not be considered a real hit on him. In that case, it would be impossible to destroy the equipment. Haha, you think too much. In response, Ye Chen just sneered and approached Long Er at the fastest speed. Strong attack. Ye Chen attacked suddenly, and the sharp dagger directly cut through the layer of flames on Long Er's body. Although he felt resistance and the power decreased, the dagger still chopped on Long Er's staff. With a crack sound, Long Er's staff broke. At the same time, the flame on Long Er's chest was also cut, and the breastplate burst. Hiss. If the holy domain broke my defense, it would be fine. Ye Chen is only level 72. His attack power is so terrifying. The staff and breastplate were broken, and Long Er couldn't help but gasp. QBQ 520. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 465. Wait, why were two pieces of equipment destroyed? I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. Long Er was a little slow to react for a while. Ye Chen's defense was indeed broken, but he was attacked twice inexplicably. Although he was attacked twice at the same time, he was still able to tell the difference between the two attacks. And two pieces of equipment were destroyed, which immediately made him a little angry. This kid, there are still hidden means. Is it a clone of God? Impossible. Long Er suspected and denied it. There are two reasons why gods are powerful. First, the power of faith. Second, they can create clones of gods. A clone of a god can have up to 50% of the attributes of the original body. But Ye Chen is clearly not even in the Holy Land. How could he have a clone of God? Even if Ye Chen had a clone of God, even if that clone attacked him stealthily and destroyed one of his equipment, he should have entered the attack state and exited the stealth state, right? Long Er was puzzled. As Long Er's staff and chest armor were broken, his damage dropped sharply. The terrifying sea of fire that was more than 10 yards high and like a wall of flames, although its appearance did not change, the intensity of the flames decreased, and the damage suffered by Yu Ming and others was reduced. They immediately breathed a sigh of relief and became more curious about Ye Chen. Ye Chen was only level 72, but he was not inferior to Long Er in a single fight, and he reduced Long Er's damage. This was too terrifying. If Ye Chen entered the Holy Land in the future, what would happen? Old 3, come and help me. Ye Chen was too abnormal. Not only could he destroy equipment, his attack power, defense power, and even fire resistance were all ridiculously high. Long Er is a fire mage of the Holy Domain. Although he is a high-level preacher of Oz and has extremely strong fire, Ye Chen's fire resistance is even more powerful. Long Er can't do much damage. If he continues like this, he might be in danger. Because of this, Long Er put aside his pride and called Long San to help. You know, compared with ordinary holy domains such as the Netherworld, the Fire Dragon brothers have a crushing advantage, and there is no problem in fighting two at one time. Long Si and Long Wu, one can easily beat two. Long Lu is only a mid-level preacher, and his attack power is only 5 times higher than that of ordinary holy domains, but there is no problem in fighting two at one time. At most he is not as efficient as his brothers. Long Er doesn't take ordinary holy domains such as the Netherworld seriously at all. Now Ye Chen is a level 72 assassin, and he is extremely afraid of him. So, the battlefield changed dramatically. Long Er and Long San, the two strongest high-level preacher holy domains among the Fire Dragon brothers, attacked Ye Chen, who was only level 72. And Long Si, Long Wu, Long Lu, one person singled out two ordinary holy domains. Such a change invisibly made Ye Chen's back look taller. The battlefield in the sky was extremely fierce. In addition to Ye Chen, the other 11 were all genuine Saint Domain strongmen, with HP of at least several billion, and the HP of warrior professions exceeded 10 billion. It was obviously a war of attrition. The battlefield below was even more intense and more intuitive, and it could be described as horrible. In just less than 10 minutes, more than 20,000 people in the throne died an average of no less than 3 times. The average level dropped by 3 levels. The NPC troops above level 80 were too terrifying. Although they were not Saint Domain, it did not prevent them from using level 80 big moves. More importantly, most of these more than 5,000 believers were fire mages. Who could withstand the large-scale meteor shower? You know, the members of the throne were only more than level 60. Tank, Huo Wu, Uncle Soy Sauce, Big Fried Chicken, Lan, Lu Mang, and others can fly, and with cooperation, they can kill NPCs above their level, but their killing efficiency is far different from that of the enemy. Moreover, the meteor showers fell from the sky, and they couldn't bear it either, and they died collectively 2 or 3 times. Despair, deep despair. In the sky, Ye Chen was too busy to help them. Now that they were crushed to such a point by the enemy, everyone was full of frustration and unwillingness. Is the throne's strength only because of the boss Ye Chen, and we are nothing? Once such a thought came up, it could no longer be shaken off. Everyone was paranoid and roared, extremely unwilling, and wanted to counterattack, but they could not equalize the disadvantage. Drive the chainsaw maniac. In the throne, Ye Chen has absolute majesty. In addition, Tank is the most popular. Don't look at his usual sloppy appearance. Once he gets serious, his concentration and courage are convincing. Now Ye Chen was too busy to take care of himself and was caught in a tough battle. Tank immediately took up the banner and roared. The next moment, thousands of white lights flashed and turned into thousands of chainsaw maniacs. The blueprint was not yet at the full level. The cost of a chainsaw maniac was about 30 gold coins. This was more than 60,000 gold coins consumed, equivalent to B. Xiao Mao was in charge of finances. This was the limit of what she could do. After more than 2,000 chainsaw maniacs were made, the working capital had been exhausted. Ye Chen and the throne were indeed rich, but that was RMB, and in Dream World, RMB could not be used to buy materials. Guilds in large games have their own ways of operation, and now the throne is on track. Elite members who sign the contract need wages. As a financial officer, Xiao Mao needs to go to the game currency trading website every month to sell a large number of gold coins and exchange them for RMB to pay wages. Because of this, the guild's liquidity is never too much. Fortunately, more than 2,000 chainsaw maniacs are enough to make up for the current disadvantage. Just kidding, more than 6 million, if we still can't win, how can we play this game? But then again, this 6 million really has to be spent. If there are no chainsaw maniacs, the enemy's bombardment will cause all the members of the throne to die at least a dozen times and drop more than a dozen levels. Level is very important. Without level, nothing can be done. Without investment, where is the return? This is a very simple truth. Buzz buzz buzz. ZZZZ. Chainsaw Maniac appeared, and the summoners immediately took control. Soon, the air was filled with the harsh noise caused by the chainsaw strangulation, which made people's scalps numb. Brothers, let's fight back. The operators roared, and the sound was filtered by the chainsaw maniac and turned into a mechanical sonic boom. Everyone in the throne heard it, and they felt their blood boiling and their fighting spirit soared, but the 80-level believers heard it, but their scalps were numb. 10,000 pounds of collision. More than 2,000 tall chainsaw maniacs rushed out, causing a strong airflow, crashing into the battlefield at once, knocking all the 80-level believers to the ground. The chainsaw maniac itself does not move fast, but the 10,000 pounds of collision is a skill, which completes the breakthrough in an instant and hits 30,000 to 40,000 group attack damage. A group of 80-level believers were knocked away, screaming but not falling. QBQ 520. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 466. The level of the chainsaw maniac is the same as the operator. In other words, these more than 2,000 chainsaw maniacs are actually only over 60 levels, but they are national lords. Such an existence can still vaguely gain the upper hand against level 80 NPC elites. Electromagnetic gun. Electron magnetic field. I saw a large number of chainsaw madmen emitting violent lightning under their feet, and the flashing current had extremely strong paralysis ability. However, level 80 NPC believers faced them with level suppression and relatively high resistance in all aspects. There was no collective paralysis for a while. However, when the electronic magnetic field was activated, 1/3 of the believers could be paralyzed every second. At the same time, the electromagnetic gun was launched, causing tens of thousands of damage in one blast. Damn, Chainsaw Maniac. What the hell is this? Although Chainsaw Maniac is only over level 60, he is the lord of the country, has high defense and thick HP, and has more than 3 million HP. Although a group of level 80 believers had a level advantage, it was difficult to kill the Chainsaw Maniac. In an instant, the previous crushing advantage disappeared and turned into a war of attrition. But they only have one life, and if they die, they are dead, and players, the so-called outsiders in their mouths, will only be demoted if they die. Because of this, compared to consumption, they will definitely lose. And the consequence of losing is death. In the sky above, Netherworld and other sanctuary believers rebelled. They also saw it and couldn't help but feel envious in their hearts. But they are envious, and they dare not imitate him. The Fire Dragon brothers are so terrifying. Although the sanctuary believers are not opponents, they are sanctuary themselves. If they cannot win, they can completely escape. And if they rebel, the Fire Dragon brothers can wipe them out with a wave of their hands. Brothers, don't think too much. If you fight, you will still survive. If you run away, you will die. The believers were so determined that they stopped thinking about it and started attacking crazily. On the other side, the Business Alliance. What? King Shang grabbed the vice president's shoulders a bit eccentrically and said ecstatically, Yeshen and Throne were led by strong men from the sanctuary to besiege them? A total of 12 sanctuary members and more than 5,000 NPCs above level 80. Yes, this is a message sent by the spy, but... The vice president had a wry smile on his face. Yeshen successfully instigated the rebellion of 6 saints, and 1 saint escaped. Now it is Yeshen and 6 ordinary saints who join forces to deal with 5 high-level evangelists. Humph, Yeshen is really capable. He can actually instigate rebellion against even the strong men in the Holy Realm. He said in frustration with a bloodshot shot. Hearing this, the senior executives of the Merchant Alliance suddenly smiled bitterly. For the strong men of the Holy Domain, even if it was just an ordinary Holy Domain, they, the Merchant Alliance, might not be able to do anything. And Yeshen instigated 6 saints to rebel while joking, which was a bit too scary. Of course, judging from the current situation, Yeshen and Throne are at a disadvantage, the vice president said. Everyone nodded when they heard the words. They were both in the Holy Domain, and the preacher's Holy Domain was much more powerful than the ordinary Holy Domain. In addition, the more than 5,000 NPCs are also very powerful. That's great, God helps me. King Shang was ecstatic, Biao Shui, How is your advanced bomb? Let's go over and add some fire to Yeshen and Throne. Don't worry, boss. The person in charge of my high-end bomb has been able to mass produce it. Attack in a group of 20,000 people, the bloodshot was extremely exciting. A group attack of 20,000 advanced bombs is used to kill level 60 players. Even if one bomb cannot kill them, two bombs will definitely kill them. Except for shield warriors and berserkers, few general professions can withstand it. More importantly, the Merchant Alliance has the means to mass-produce steel cannons, and they are ahead of the curve in this regard, because even the Throne does not have the means to mass-produce steel cannons. Haha, okay. This is a rare opportunity. Let's all go out and defeat the Night God and the Throne. Oh! With a wave of his hand, King Shang sent out all the troops of the Shang Alliance, and soon they arrived at Zhihaixia. In the past, Zhihaixia was strongly reserved by the Throne, and even the Merchant Alliance did not dare to force his way in. But now, everyone in the Throne is restrained by the Fire Dragon Alliance. The Merchant Alliance's army traveled smoothly without any resistance, and the target was obviously island number 151. Demon Army. According to reports from spies, Yeshen and Throne are under siege by the Fire Dragon Alliance. Brother Yuxio said excitedly, "President, should we go over and help?" Hearing this, Yao was overjoyed at first, but when he heard what happened next, especially Brother Yuxio's words, "Should we go over and help?" Yao Jian's eyebrows suddenly froze, and he slapped Brother Yuxio's bald head and shouted, "No brain, are you really a night god and an ally? Are you engaged in a war of resistance?" Everyone was startled, seeing the hidden smile on the demon's face, and their hearts suddenly thumped. It seems that the president wants to take the opportunity to cause trouble. Victory is a king, defeat is a bandit, and everything is ruined. The demon roared loudly, with boundless domineering power, expressing his kingly feelings in his heart. Although the Throne and the demon army are in alliance, the demon will not be satisfied with this. He wants to dominate. How could he miss this opportunity now? However, he thought so, but other senior leaders of the demon army did not think so. After all, Yeshen and Throne were too powerful. Although they were in crisis now, if they could not be defeated in one step, their demon army would definitely be crushed by Throne in the future. This is a big gamble. If they win, the demon army will at least dominate the light camp, but if they lose, they simply cannot afford the price. President, this matter is too important. Should we discuss it with the club's directors first? Ao Wushuan asked calmly. You should know that the predecessor of the Yao army is Shenhua, which is one of the most powerful guilds in the Chinese theater. It is not a private guild, it is controlled by the bosses. Yao, to put it bluntly, is just an employee, but he only owns a certain amount of shares. In particularly important events, he has no right to be a dictator. Discuss? Those old guys don't know anything. What can we discuss with them? Besides, now is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Do you think only the Fire Dragon League is besieging the throne? A single move will affect the whole body. This matter will inevitably lead to a chain reaction. At that time, the Merchant Alliance, the Throne, the Demon God, and all the first-line guilds will participate. Yao glanced at Ao Wushuan, pointed at something, and said coldly, "If you dare not go, get out of the guild. At that time, all honors have nothing to do with you." Yao is not the president for nothing. He sees the current situation more thoroughly than everyone else and is more courageous. The fact that the throne reserved the venue for Zhihaixia had already caused dissatisfaction among all the frontline forces. Now that the throne was in crisis, how could they not add fuel to the fire and take advantage of the situation? Okay, the winner is the king and the loser is the bandit. Let's fight. Everyone's blood was boiling and they roared loudly. Even Ao Wushuan and others could not hide their excitement in their eyes. Yao was right. Now was the best opportunity. It might even be the only chance to overthrow the throne. QBQ 520. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 467. Zhyhaxia Island number 151. Almost all of my equipment has been destroyed. Long Er and Long San were responsible for dealing with Ye Chen. As time passed, Long San changed several sets of equipment, but now he only had a pair of white underwear left. For a time, his defense, strength, and even various attributes plummeted. More importantly, without his weapon, he was like a polished commander standing in the air, messy in the wind. Oh! Looking at Long San's entangled look, Ye Chen sneered in his heart, gave up attacking Long San, and rushed towards Long Er instead. After all, although Long San has lost his equipment, he still has about 5 billion HP. Ye Chen is not in a hurry to kill him and will first weaken the Fire Dragon brothers' combat effectiveness. Watching Ye Chen fly away and rush towards his brother, Long San was helpless. Now that he had no equipment, he couldn't catch up with Ye Chen at any speed and couldn't even stop him. A few more minutes passed, and Long Er was still left with only a pair of white underwear. Long Er and Long San were extremely ashamed and angry when the dignified Saint Realm powerhouses were beaten like this. Even so, there was nothing they could do. They couldn't kill Ye Chen when they were fully equipped. Now that they had no equipment, it was even more impossible. At the same time, Ye Chen flew to cool down, then rode Xiao Hong, directly throwing away Long Er and Long San, and headed towards Netherworld to support him. At this time, Yu Ming and others were already seriously injured. Ye Chen came in waves of support and destroyed the Fire Dragon brothers' equipment, which immediately greatly reduced the pressure on Yu Ming and others. Hey! Brother Ye Chen, what a trick! Seeing that the 5 Fire Dragon brothers were all left with only their underwear, Yu Ming was extremely surprised, but at the same time he felt happy in his heart. My bet was right. This night god has the ability to destroy equipment, and it is really terrifying. The other 5 ordinary saints were also shocked and even more ecstatic. Now that the Fire Dragon brothers have no equipment or even weapons, what else do they have to fear? Kill, make a quick decision. Ye Chen was concerned about the battlefield below and didn't want to waste a single second. Yu Ming and the others nodded, and once again joined the Fire Dragon brothers in a wild attack. Another half-hour passed, and Long San and Long Lu both died. At the same time, war cries rang out, and hundreds of thousands of troops poured into this battlefield intermittently. Haha, it really coincides with each other. King Shang, the demons both laughed wildly. How chaotic was the battlefield in front of them. They came over just to add fuel to the fire. Demon army, you. Tank, Huo Wu and others were shocked and angry. You must know that throne has suddenly risen, and its control over members is definitely not as strict as that of the old guilds. It is really normal for spies to sneak in. As the senior officials of the throne, Tank, and others are far superior to ordinary people in terms of strength, strategy, etc., they more or less guessed that during this crisis of the throne, the enemy would take the opportunity to make a sneak attack. But I didn't expect that the demon army would also participate. You know, the throne and the demon army are currently in an alliance. Yao, I really didn't expect you to be so shameless. I want our throne to dominate Zhyhaxia, but I still worry about the friendship of the alliance, and still leave 10 islands for you to develop. Now that the throne is in danger, it's okay if your demon army doesn't help. You actually want to take advantage of the situation and get a piece of the pie. Huo Wu was so angry that he was shaking. A long time ago, she felt that Yao had great potential, and in fact Yao did not disappoint her. What he did, every step he took was full of courage. If it weren't for the superstar show Ye Chen suppressing the light, the demon would definitely be considered a character. But he doesn't care about his feelings, is paranoid in his methods, and won't give up until he achieves his goal. For this reason, he can abandon his most basic character. How far can such a person go? Not only Huo Wu, almost everyone on the throne side was extremely angry. This is like the story of the farmer and the snake. The farmer was walking in the snow and saw a frozen snake. The farmer warmed it, but after the snake came to life, it bit the farmer. Now, everyone in the throne feels the same way, giving kindness to others, only to be retaliated against. Tsunema. Everyone in throne is not a kind farmer. If you bite me, I will kill you. Demon, I put my words here today. Within 3 days, your demon army will be crushed. Tank's eyes were about to burst and he roared like a wild beast. Everyone in the throne room was equally indignant. Huo Wu was the vice president and immediately cancelled the alliance with the demon army. Haha, the winner is the king and the loser is the loser. You are still saying stupid things now. Can't you see clearly the current situation? The demon laughed coldly, then turned to the opposite merchant alliance and shouted loudly, King Shang, now that you and I have the same goal, let's work together to level the throne. King Shang sneered, okay. Brothers, kill. Amidst the roar, King Shang, Yao and others led their respective men, united with a group of level 80 believers, and bombed the throne in turns. In particular, the Merchant Alliance army displayed tens of thousands of steel cannons at once and fired high-level bombs wildly. One round exploded, causing a storm. On the throne side, Chainsaw Maniac lost more than half, and almost all the remaining members of failed the first level. Not only that, the Merchant Alliance used artillery bombardment, not only targeting the throne, but also accidentally damaging many front-line forces. Even the demon army lost tens of thousands of troops. The demon army gritted its teeth in anger. The Night God and the throne are enough. Now the Merchant Alliance is so terrifying, the demon was extremely unwilling. He was almost born with a golden key in his mouth and his personality was extremely paranoid. What he wanted had never failed, but now it was so difficult to reach the top of a game. The Night God, the throne, the king of business, the Merchant Alliance, and a group of kings were like an invisible wall, blocking him out of the door. And now, the king of business promised to join forces with him, but he did it without any scruples, and didn't take him seriously at all. How could he, who was arrogant, bear this? Forget it, this time we will destroy the throne, and our demon army will dominate the light camp, step by step. Whoever dares to stop us will die. The demon took a deep breath, stopped arguing with the king of business, and continued to order his men to bombard the throne. The war intensified in the terrifying melee, and the people of the throne died and resurrected, and died again, in a continuous cycle. In less than 2 hours, the average level of the throne side dropped by about 10 levels. You have to know that this is still the man with the chainsaw, otherwise the loss would be even greater. The people of the throne roared and roared, fighting madly with the enemy. This battle was the most brutal one since the collapse and establishment. Haha, the members of the throne have dropped more than 10 levels. Bomb hard. The Shang King was ecstatic. This battle went smoothly as expected. Steel cannons and high-level bombs were used without restraint and regardless of cost. In addition, many level 80 NPCs and front-line forces from all sides were completely bullying and crushing the throne. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 468. In the melee, throne could be said to have suffered a disastrous defeat, with all members dying an average of 10 times. The Merchant Alliance, the Demon Army, the King, the Demon God, and other front-line forces won a complete victory. Everyone's faces were filled with smiles of making a comeback. They had long been unhappy with Ji Haixia's strong dominance of the throne. Now that the throne was defeated, it was like letting out a breath of bad breath in their hearts. Of course, they laughed and felt refreshed. King Shang, Jian Wuhan, Bloodshot, Yao, and all the powerful men couldn't help but look up at the battlefield above. You know, except for Ye Chen, all the people in the sky are strong men from the Holy Realm. Even Ye Chen is extremely terrifying at this stage. It can be said that everyone in the sky, including Ye Chen, has the ability to completely change the trend of the battle below. King Shang and others were eager to know how the battle was going on in the sky. However, there was a sea of fire like a wall of flames in the sky. It spread for more than 1,000 yards and was high enough to block the people inside. I hope the Fire Dragon brothers will win a great victory. After all, they are both from the Preacher Sanctuary. If we are lucky enough to make friends, we will benefit a lot no matter what happens. Dog bites dog on both sides, and the entire army is annihilated. King Shang sneered in his heart. But at this moment, the sea of fire in the sky suddenly disappeared. King Shang and others quickly turned their gaze nervously, only to see 7 people standing in the sky. It was Ye Chen, Yu Ming, and others, and the entire Fire Dragon Brothers army was wiped out. This is normal. After all the equipment of the Fire Dragon Brothers was destroyed by Ye Chen, and their attributes were greatly reduced. Especially for berserkers and archers, they can't even use their skills after losing their weapons. This is a sure defeat. That is to say, their HP is too terrifying, otherwise, the battle would have been over long ago. Hiss, impossible. Are you kidding? The Fire Dragon Brothers are all high-level evangelist saints. On the other side, there are only 6 ordinary saints. The gap between the two sides is as big as heaven and earth. Just because there is one more night god, the Fire Dragon Brothers are completely wiped out. It's true that Night God can destroy equipment, but isn't that too scary? King Shang, Yao, and other powerful men were so frightened that they counted down their hair. It was so terrifying. They still underestimated Ye Chen's strength. On the other side, Ye Chen joined hands with Yu Ming and others to finally defeat the Fire Dragon Brothers, and a lot of loot was revealed, which they all shared. Ye Chen only wanted 2 holy gems and a level 85 holy weapon. When Long Er was finally killed, a system prompt suddenly came to Ye Chen's ears. System, you have accepted the mission, the summoning of Fire God Oz. Mission requirements: go to the top of Longjian Mountain within 3 days to find the clone of Fire God Ounce. Failure penalty, level -1. Note, this task cannot be abandoned. Ye Chen was startled. This mission was so overbearing. He had done nothing, yet Mo Min was accepted into the mission miraculously. Of course, Ye Chen killed the Fire Dragon Brothers and met the basic conditions for triggering a certain task. But under normal circumstances, even if a task is triggered, players can choose to accept it or not. What's going on now? You cannot give up the mission. If you fail, the level will be -1. It is really overbearing, but since it is a mission issued by the God of Fire Oz, it makes sense. After all, I am still his believer. Ye Chen was surprised, but also excited. It was a mission from the gods, even though he had played Dream World for 2 years in his previous life and had never seen it before. After calming down, Ye Chen temporarily suppressed the surprise in his heart. Anyway, the mission only lasted 3 days, so he was not in a hurry now. Immediately afterwards, he glanced at the battlefield below with a gloomy and furious gaze. The terrifying sea of fire not only blocked the vision of those below, but also blocked the vision above. But for every person on the throne, every time he dies, Ye Chen will receive a reminder. In the past 3 or 4 hours, he had received countless reminders of the death of guild members, and he was already furious. In addition, Huo Wu also received the prompt to dissolve the alliance between Throne and the Demon Army, and his expression became ferocious on the spot. There is no right or wrong in the game, and the strong are respected. This is also the philosophy Ye Chen believes in. This time the throne is facing a crisis. Business alliances, kings, and demon gods have led the crowd to come and take advantage of the situation. This is nothing to say, But what qualifications does the demon army have? Do you think I am a farmer? Boss. It's Boss Yagamai and the others who won. Why are we holding on for dear life? We're just waiting for this moment. The level we lost is worth it. The people on the throne had happy smiles on their faces, and some emotional members even shed tears of excitement. The boss is mighty, the throne is mighty. Everyone roared, releasing the excitement in their hearts. Kill! Yuchen roared wildly and swooped down on Xiaohong, causing strong air currents in mid-air, and the speed was outrageous. After a few seconds, he arrived at the battlefield below, split up with Xiaohong, and started fighting crazily. Xiaohong opened her mouth and sprayed flames, as if it was just a normal attack, one group at a time. But Ye Chen seemed to vent his rage by going close to the enemy and slaughtering them. The sharp dagger stabbed through the enemy's chest every time, causing him to spurt blood to death. Level 80 elites have 10,000 HP, and their skills can kill them instantly. The level 80 boss NPC has more than 1 million HP, and www.zayan.c can kill instantly with strong attacks or finishing skills. The young man became angry and blood spattered 5 steps forward. Unstoppable! Hiss! The enemy looked at it with fear, felt in their hearts, and gasped. The Fire Phoenix kills a group of people in 1 second, and the killing efficiency is extremely terrifying. Ye Chen kills one person with one sword, just like cutting melons and vegetables, blood splashes everywhere. Although the killing efficiency is not high, it makes people's spines cold. Bombardment. The king of Shang's eyes are bloodshot. Ye Chen kills all level 80 NPCs in 1 second. He is really scared and roars immediately. For a time, tens of thousands of steel cannons bombarded crazily, and the air waves soared into the sky. Under the rounds of bombardment, Ye Chen was blasted out and immediately activated BFF. Fighting Spirit. Armament Hardening. Flame Armor. Tyrannosaurus Pattern. In an instant, Ye Chen's skin became shiny black, and mysterious black cross patterns were superimposed on it. Under that violent posture, there was a faint roar of Tyrannosaurus Rex. Invisible sound waves, or just hallucinations caused by Ye Chen's posture, everyone was terrified. With the help of the iron cannon, the advanced bombs continued to bombard Ye Chen. However, when they hit Ye Chen again, he did not move at all, like an iron wall, indestructible. Minus 234. Minus 234. Minus 234. Minus 234. For a moment, dense and almost all the same damage values appeared above Ye Chen's head, which surprised everyone. You know, only the iron cannon is bombarding Ye Chen now, which means that every 234 damage is caused by the cannon. Hey, iron cannon, advanced bombs. A full 20,000 group attacks, hitting Ye Chen, but can only hit 234 health points. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 469. Zhyhaxia Island number 151, Savage Forest. The flames of war blew up, and thousands of yards in the center of the savage forest were razed to the ground, and it was in chaos. There were all kinds of corpses that had not yet returned to the city, scattered equipment, coins, and materials, and there was no end in sight. The steel cannons were still bombing, and the people affected turned into corpses, but Ye Chen, who was targeted by the bombing, was safe and sound, and even his HP did not drop much. Ye Chen's current HP is at least more than 40,000 and 234 points of damage per shot. It's nothing at all. Even if he lost a little blood, with the special effect of killing and recovering blood in the tidal source of sin, Ye Chen's HP will be restored immediately. He was like a walking demon, making people scream with fear. Because of the stiffness, the cannons could not blow him up, and his movement speed was not affected at all. In the airflow caused by the bombardment of the shells, Ye Chen ran all the way. Every time he ran, he triggered the ethereal and real dragon roar, which frightened the enemy. The next moment, the enemy was pierced by the sharp dagger and fell to the ground as a cold corpse. Blood was floating in the air. Ye Chen killed one person and sprayed blood. Before the blood fell to the ground, Ye Chen killed another person in a blink of an eye, and blood gushed out again. In this cycle, in just a few tens of seconds, a layer of terrifying blood mist condensed in the air. The identity and combat power of the king had already frightened everyone, and Ye Chen's rage triggered the unparalleled domineering aura, which made people tremble and lose their will to fight. The king is not a tyrant. So scary, is this guy a tyrant? That powerful aura actually makes me feel scared. When people are afraid, their will collapses, and they will surrender and give in involuntarily. A few people with strong will can overcome it, but most people have no way. At this moment, Ye Chen showed this domineering aura, which made people terrified, trembling, and involuntarily. For a time, the title of tyrant spread like wildfire, which was a title symbolizing honor. Although everyone present was Ye Chen's enemy, they had to agree with his strength. To them, Ye Chen was even more terrifying than the strongest king. It was more appropriate to call him the overlord. In the sky, Yuming and other Saint Domain strongmen looked at the scene below in shock. They were not the parties involved and did not know why Ye Chen was angry, but Ye Chen's violent slaughter scene and the overlord aura that almost formed a substantial deterrent force made them very impressed. You know, Ye Chen is only level 72, and he is so terrifying even before he reaches the Saint Domain. What will happen if he is promoted to the Saint Domain? It's good to take shelter under a big tree, brothers. That Ye Chen is so powerful and righteous, I am willing to follow him. What do you think? Yuming suddenly said. The Saint Domain strongmen are extremely arrogant. When others heard what Yuming said, they were stunned and fell into deep thought. Can't save face? Haha, that's right. That night god is only level 72 after all. It's really a loss for us, the Saint Domain, to follow you. But if he is promoted to the Saint Domain in the future and becomes even more powerful, he may not look down on us. Yuming said, and he also smiled awkwardly. Hearing this, the Saint Domain suddenly understood. Well, if it was Night God, at least half of us would die if we were to deal with the 5 Fire Dragon brothers this time. We all died because of him, so let's follow him. Anyway, he won't hinder our development, Berserker Chen Yang said. Everyone nodded. Ye Chen kept moving forward, killing one by one, including Xiao Hong. In less than a minute, he had killed thousands of people. And this was when Ye Chen didn't use all his strength. If he changed into a Destruction Giro warrior, it would be too easy for Ye Chen to kill 1,000 people in 1 second. Such a horrible killing scene frightened everyone on the battlefield. Shang Wang, Jian Wuhan, and Yuqiang were also stunned with shock. I can't believe that the steel cannon and advanced bombs that I finally got are not a threat to Ye Chen at all. The Shang Wang's face was full of bitter smiles. Until now, the steel cannon has not stopped bombing, but 234 points of damage per shot is really despairing. You know, the steel cannon releases advanced bombs, with a total of 20,000 group attacks. Attacking ordinary players, even if 1 shot can't kill them, 2 shots will most likely kill them. But Ye Chen, facing the continuous bombing of tens of thousands of steel cannons, was fine, not even stiff, which is too terrifying. However, he didn't know that Ye Chen's current defense is comparable to the Holy Land, and even stronger than most Holy Lands. Although the steel cannon has no clear level, the official vaguely classifies it as a level 70 consumable. Now Ye Chen is not afraid of the Holy Land, so how can he take the level 70 consumable seriously? What's more, the Shang Alliance does not have magic crystal bombs, but only advanced bombs. Yukiangbiaoxiu also smiled bitterly, wanting to cry but without tears. You know, he was responsible for getting the steel cannon and even the bomb blueprints. He thought he could make a comeback. Indeed, it was really cool to use these to fight the throne, but it was useless against Ye Chen. When he thought of this, Yukiangbiaoxiu felt a pain in his balls. Jian Wuhan stared at Ye Chen on the battlefield. Zashin. His face was calm, but his right hand was tightly holding the broken sword. Because he used too much force, a trace of paleness appeared on the back of his hand. His unwillingness in his heart was even more turbulent. He had rarely met an opponent all along, and he had the momentum of being the strongest in the Chinese theater. After Ye Chen rose to power, he was proud of himself as a senior, and even a little happy, thinking that there was one more opponent of the same level, but now, Ye Chen seemed to be able to completely defeat him. The artifact, the withered great sword. It was also ruthlessly cut off by Ye Chen. If the broken sword is not repaired, he will never be Ye Chen's opponent again. With this thought, he suddenly felt a strong sense of urgency. Without saying a word, Jian Wuhan left silently and escaped using the teleportation stone. It was not because he was afraid, he just didn't want to waste a minute or a second. The martial arts competition, national competition, was about to start, and he didn't want to fail, and he didn't dare to fail. As the saying goes, the higher you stand, the harder you fall. Jian Wuhan didn't want to endure that kind of pain. The demon army smiled bitterly, and their faces were as ugly as if they had lost their parents. Together with the Merchant Alliance, the king, the demon god, and even the level 80 NPC, they once beat the throne violently. The joy they felt at that time was simply indescribable. Unexpectedly, in the battlefield above, Ye Chen, together with Yu Ming and others, completely defeated the 5 brothers of Fire Dragon. It was not until now that they realized their regret. The demon's face was even more unwilling and angry. He could never afford to lose. This failure might lead to the tragic end of the demon army's annihilation, which made him even more manic. But at this moment, Ye Chen actually cut a bloody path and rushed towards the demon. Feeling the unparalleled domineering aura of Ye Chen, a flash of fear flashed in the demon's eyes. Ye Chen. Ao Wushuan, Ba Tian, Forbidden Fruit, Broken Halberd, Black Dragon. Ikea roared immediately and blocked Ye Chen tightly. The strongest assassin in the server. Author, Ba Wangshi-san. Chapter 470. One wrong move, and everything goes wrong. As the parties involved, Ao Wushuan and others knew exactly why Ye Chen was angry. But it has happened, and even if they regret it, it will be of no use. Searched Can on Google. Even so, they still wanted to salvage the situation. The demon is extremely talented, but he is still too young, paranoid, arrogant, and arrogant. He is courageous, dares to make big bets, has no scruples, and has nothing to say even if he fails. But Ao Wushuan and others are different. The consequences of this failure may lead to tragedy. Maybe, Ye Chen will be angry, and the demon army will be wiped out. When the time comes, where will they go? My family knows their own affairs, and they are not the material to be leaders. In the final analysis, they lack courage. Sinless quit, and now although Yao is young and reckless, he is still quite capable. Under his leadership, the demon army was not only in full swing, but it was much stronger than the mythical army. Because of this, Ao Wushuan and others still want to make amends, but how can they withstand Ye Chen's anger? Blade Storm. As Ye Chen sprinted, he turned into a battle top, and then consumed all the combo points, the storm of destruction. In an instant, a wave of darts was fired, killing Ao Wushuan and others. In an instant, Ye Chen cancelled the blade storm again. That wave of fire blades was just to clear the way. He had to kill the demon with his own hands before he could calm down the anger in his heart and release the rage of the entire throne. Demon, remember, I will crush the demon army. Die. There was a moment of ferocity on Yechen's face, and he roared loudly. The unparalleled domineering power made the demon suffocate for a moment. Yechen raised the knife and dropped it. -93,203. Huge damage occurs, and the demon dies. At this moment, the entire battlefield seemed to be quiet. This was the transformation of Yechen's state of mind. In an instant, the bombardment and roar of artillery shells filled the entire battlefield again. On the throne side, everyone let out a long sigh of relief. The expressions on their faces were slightly complicated, including relief, ecstasy, and pride. Proud of Yechen. Dress up. Beyblade Warriors of Doom. After changing clothes, within 5 seconds, the blade storm cooled down, and Yechen rolled out wildly, plowing the ground along the way, sending sand and rocks flying. Easily kill one person instantly to accumulate combo points, and then the destructive storm triggered a curtain of fire that filled the sky and began to sweep wildly. After killing the demon with his own hands, most of the anger in Yechen's heart dissipated and he no longer held back. 1000 per second, the terrifying killing efficiency frightened everyone present. In less than 10 minutes, the enemy troops were dying and fleeing. In the end, only 6 saints, including Yechen, Throne, Yuming, and Chen Yang, were left on the entire battlefield. Then they began to clean up the battlefield, and the average level of all Throne members dropped by more than 10 levels, which was a huge loss. Fortunately, the trophies all over the floor were a consolation. After the war subsided, Yuming, Chen Yang and other talents landed and said with a smile, "Brother Yechen, you are righteous and generous, which is heartbreaking. We are willing to follow you." Hearing this, Tank, Huowu and others were startled. "Hey, are you kidding me? Yechen is only level 72 now. Since these powerful men from the Holy Realm are willing to follow him." Yechen also had a look of astonishment on his face. "You must know that instigating rebellion will lead to rebellion. After all, Yuming and others also hate the Fire Dragon brothers very much, but following them is another matter." The so-called following actually means loyalty and surrender, which basically means the same thing. It's just that the strong men in the sanctuary maintain their own identity, and they talk about following, which makes them appear more high-end. After thinking about it, Yechen understood that these guys valued his potential. Although he is only level 72, his combat power is not inferior to that of ordinary saints at all, and he can even kill. Of course, Yechen didn't dare to say that he was better than the Evangelist Sanctuary. After all, the Fire Dragon brothers were the evangelists of the great fire god. Yechen and them could be said to restrain each other. Yechen's fire resistance of more than 5,000 played a vital role. If he faced other preacher sanctuaries, Yechen would be almost no match. The other party is likely to kill instantly. Even so, Yechen is proud enough. Crushing the ordinary Holy Realm before the Holy Realm is enough to boast. After all, sanctuaries are already very rare, and evangelist sanctuaries, especially high-ranking evangelist sanctuaries of higher gods, are simply rare. The 5 Fire Dragon brothers are actually extremely powerful. Their failure this time is really due to too many factors. If they were left alone outside, they would all be awesome and arrogant characters. "Very good, I just need your help." Yechen smiled slightly, but he didn't show much joy. He knew full well that Yuming and others did not surrender in the true sense. It's nothing more than valuing one's own potential. It's human nature to enjoy the shade of a big tree in the future. Their level of loyalty is much different than that of Eli, Rab, Hailu, and others. Facing them, Yechen only needs to show that he is stronger than them. Yechen has great confidence in this point. After all, Yuming and others are followers of the Vulcan god, and at most they are high-level evangelists of the Vulcan god. With such existence, Yechen doesn't panic at all. Therefore, Yechen could eat them to death, so why should he be polite? But he looks so indifferent, Zhao Shan. But it made Tank, Huo Wu and others, as well as Yu Ming and others, startled and secretly admired him. Immediately afterwards, Yechen issued a command to Yu Ming and others. After everyone accepted, Yechen successfully had 6 NPC subordinates from the Holy Land. "Brother Yechen, you just said you need our help?" "What's the matter?" Yu Ming asked with a smile. Normally, Yu Ming and others have become Yechen's subordinates, and they should respectfully address Yechen as master, or at least master. But they address Yechen as brothers. Yechen doesn't care. Since Yu Ming and others are strong men from the Holy Land, they should be proud of it. Hearing this, Yechen casually added Yu Ming and others to the Throne Guild. NPCs can join player guilds, not just Yu Ming and others, but also Ellie, Lab, Heilu, and others. Yechen has already added them to the guild. "I'm going to slaughter a guild now. Are you willing to help me?" Yechen asked. While asking, Yechen was a little unhappy. Damn it, the subordinates of the NPC in the Holy Land can't be ordered around at will. Once this thought came up, Yechen became more eager for strength. As long as he was stronger, he could make Yu Ming and others completely surrender. "It's just a small matter. We are at your disposal." Yu Ming and others smiled slightly. Then, Yechen started a combat meeting and marked all the bases of the demon army. "Act separately and make sure to blow up all the bases of the demon army. Of course, while destroying the bases, kill as many of their people as possible." After the meeting, Yechen and the senior executives, Yu Ming and others came out of the base. Yechen ordered Yu Ming and others. "Well, leave it to us." Yu Ming and others responded easily and flew away.